Hello, very beautiful, beloved soul friends. Welcome to another Conversations with Kristin, that glorious time of your day where you explore the unconscious mind from the inside out. So today I want to dive into the truth about OCD, or Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. What is lying at the core of OCD? Where does it come from? Because when we know the neurobiological causalities of these battles, we can completely heal and transform them. It's only when things are being looked at from the surface level that true healing is not possible. But once you find the root causes of every little part about what's being experienced, 100% of it can be changed. Because all of these experiences are coming from our neurobiological wiring, and we always have power to rewire our brain and our body system. Every single time a neural network is activated, it is being rewired. That's already happening. And so if we can understand the neurobiological causalities of mental, emotional, action patterned battles, then we can transmute the energetic data residing at the core of it. All of this stuff is just coming from the wiring of our neural networks. Cells in our body store information gathered through subjectively processed past experience, and the activation of that data is what is generating the particulars of our personal life experience, including our uniquely individualized sense of self and the processes of abstract stimulus being transmuted into personal aspects of life experience. And so once we understand the root causality of what's happening, 100% of what is being experienced can be changed. There's no such thing as an incurable mental health battle. There is no such thing as an incurable mental health battle. It doesn't exist. Because all of the mental health types of battles come from neural wiring, and neural wiring can always be changed. It doesn't matter if it's neural wiring from 50 years ago. It can be transmuted. But it's all about uncovering the core of it. Because, okay, so if you have like this plant growing, okay, and the plant has deep roots, and then the plant has what's growing above ground, and you pick off a leaf, is that going to get to the root of what's happening? No, the leaf is going to grow back. If you pull the plant but don't get the roots, is that going to be an end to the plant? No, it's going to grow back because the roots are still there. So it's not about addressing what we can superficially see. It's not about addressing the symptoms or what we perceive to be the problem. The obsessions and the compulsions are not the problem in OCD. That's not where the problem is coming from. So addressing the obsessions and the compulsions does not help heal OCD. Okay? Addressing the obsessions and the compulsions does not help heal OCD, because that's not the root of what's happening. Okay? So when we can get to the root of it, though, then the plant stops growing. If we get an inch into the roots, it's going to grow back because the roots are still there. But once we get all the way down to where the roots begin, then the plant stops growing back. Then the problems stop returning. There are no relapses into OCD if you get to the root of the problem. There are no relapses into mental health battles once you find the neural networks that are actually creating them. It's only when you don't get to the core of what's happening that things seem incurable, and they keep coming up, and they keep flaring, and they keep being an issue. Okay? So what is the root causality? What is the core of OCD? How can we get to the root of it so that any kind of battle can be healed? Hope revolution ignites now, soul friends. Hope revolution ignites now, beloveds. It's now. The hope is now. The hope is here. Okay? So let's dive into this. Where does OCD actually come from? What's happening? Okay? So let's kind of look at the brain in general in relation with subconscious realms, okay? And this is all referring to diagrams. The lighting on my phone. It's like 6 a.m. The sun's not up yet. So this is all referring to subconscious realms in relation to a diagram I've created to explain these concepts of neural networks in relation to what generates personal life experience. Okay, so at the core of our subconscious realms, we have attachment systems. On top of attachment systems, we have memory systems. Implicit procedural memories, implicit emotional memories, explicit declarative or explicit episodic memories or autobiographical memories, and then explicit declarative memories. And then we've got our meaning-making associations, or the way that our brain naturally draws conclusions about things in relation to memory system and attachment system data. Okay, so it goes from most unconscious to most conscious, or what is completely beyond our awareness to what is within our awareness and direct perception regarding how we move through life. Okay, and so at the top here we've got our meaning making association. So when you're like, oh, it's hot outside, or I'm cold, or I'm hungry, or that's really loud, or that's really noisy, or I feel, or that's enjoyable, or that's really boring, those are all contrastive conclusions, and that data is stored in our meaning-making associations, okay? And then the next rung down, we've got our explicit declarative memories, and those are things like, okay, I'm going to the grocery store, I need bananas, milk, and eggs. They're things like lists. They're things in kind of, it often operates in kind of our short-term memory. And so we've got our explicit declarative memories, and those are things you can consciously get to, and they're very plain, they're very, they have no emotions to them, they have no body sensations to them, they're just like lists and things like that. And then our next rung down, we've got our explicit episodic memories or autobiographical memories, and those are a little bit more personal than the explicit declarative memories. They're things that might have images or sensations, but you can still get to them consciously. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that one time we went to the beach. Oh, the feeling of the waves splashing. That was so much fun. That would be an explicit autobiographical or episodic memory. Okay, it's something you can consciously get to, but there might be a little bit of imagery or emotions to them. Okay, so that's all stuff that is within our awareness. Everything else in our subconscious realms is beyond our awareness, and it comprises the majority of us and what we go through and who we are and what's happening. Okay, so what I just described is stuff that consciously impacts us, but that is less than half of what's happening in our subconscious realms. It's actually a very, very small fraction of what's actually happening in our subconscious realms, okay? So the next step down, we have our implicit emotional memories. And those things come up, but we don't know that they're coming up as memories, okay? So if, for example, if you're moving through your days and you see something, and a moment later you're feeling an emotion, it might feel like that's a current emotion, but the majority of the time, it's actually a projection of an emotional memory, because the emotional memory itself lives beyond awareness. So when it is activated, you have no understanding that that's a memory. And that's called an implicit projection, which is a term I've created. And you can actually find out more about implicit projections for free. I've created a whole handout about it, a little booklet, and it walks you through the whole process of understanding how implicit memories or unconscious memories are covertly impacting your everyday experiences. And it has a whole explanation about them and what's going on, and it has a bunch of clues of consciousness, or a list of little clues you could look for within your experience so that you can learn to recognize when implicit memories are being unconsciously activated and projected into your experience. Okay, and I have that for free for you guys. Please go grab it. It is seriously a healing journey game changer. It is such a healing journey game changer because a lot of times we'll be feeling these things and it's like, where is this coming from? And if we think it's something that's happening now, we're going to look at what's happening now and we're not going to be able to be there for parts of ourselves because they're not experiencing what's happening now. They're experiencing a projection from activation of an unconscious memory beyond awareness. And so we can't really be there for parts of ourselves if we think that the emotion or whatever is coming up is happening here and now. But once we understand that this clue is actually activation of an unconscious memory system, we have a lot more power to be there for parts of ourselves. And this is not information that is out there in the world yet. This is new stuff I've discovered through years of research and my case studies. So please go grab that for free at kristinwindsor.com/gifts. It is seriously a healing journey game changer for you and the parts of consciousness that are experiencing your unconscious mind beyond your awareness. Parts of you that you don't even directly know about will be helped. So please go grab it. I want every part of you to have power in your healing journey. It's called Implicit Projections Booklet, and it's available at kristinwindsor.com/gifts. And that link is here in the video description below. Okay, soul friends? So implicit memories are existing beyond our awareness, and when they're activated, they emotionally affect us, but we don't know that it's because of a memory. We think it's a new emotion that's happening now. Okay, so going down from most conscious to least conscious, the next rung down we have implicit procedural memories. Implicit procedural memories. And here's where we start to get into some of the stuff that explains OCD. Okay, so implicit procedural memories are things like approach avoidance tendencies and survival responses. And this is specifically citing Peter Levine and his 2015 book about trauma and memory. I highly recommend it. Also, soul friends, I actually have a recommended reading list. So if you've been looking for some books about neuroscience or trauma recovery or understanding the brain or things like that, or how to rewire the brain or anything like that, I have a list of books and a couple of videos actually too on there that I really recommend. They're things that have really helped my healing journey and helped me gain a lot of the knowledge that I'm sharing with you. So if you're looking for some reading, I have a recommended reading list on my website, kristinwindsor.com/gifts, and it's just one page of a bunch of really great reads if you want to check that out. Okay, I just kind of threw that up there in case you're looking for some awesome reading material. Okay. There's also a lot of awesome reading material on my website at kristinwindsor.com/gifts. Lots of free magic you can read there too. Okay, so the next rung down we have implicit procedural memories. Implicit procedural memories are things like approach avoidance tendencies or action patterns, which is where behavior comes from. Our habits come from implicit procedural memories. All of our habits, all of our behaviors come from implicit procedural memories. And these are the most unconscious of all memory systems. You have absolutely no idea that they're there. You have absolutely no idea that they're there because when you're moving through your life, you're operating from this front part of your brain. And these memories live way back here. You're up here in your brain's prefrontal cortex and little portions of your frontal lobes, and all of your implicit memories, especially these procedurals, are back in your brainstem and your upper thalamus. So it's completely different parts of the brain. You literally don't know that they're there, but they're impacting you in every single moment. The most profound thing. Okay, so neuroscience discovered that memory systems have absolutely nothing to do with storing the past. Neurobiologically speaking, our memories do not care about what has happened. Isn't that wild? Our memories don't care about the past. That's not why memories exist. And this is really important to understand when addressing any kind of internal battle or anything inside of you that you want to shift towards a higher vibration of experience. Memory systems have absolutely nothing to do with storing the past. Memories only exist to help you navigate the moments right here and the moments that are anticipated to unfold. So your present tense navigation and the potentials of future navigations, that's why memories exist. That's their neurobiological purpose. Energetically, physically, that's why they exist. That's why we have them. They have nothing to do with the past. Memories don't care about what's happened. They care about helping us with what is happening and what might happen. Okay? So implicit procedural memories are these action patterns. And so when you wake up in the morning, how do you know what to do? When you wake up in the morning, are you like, oh my God. What? Most likely not. Most likely you wake up with some kind of thought. That thought comes from the neural wiring storing memories. A lot of times when you wake up, just as one example, I know everyone's different obviously, but as one example, someone wakes up and they think, okay, I'm going to stretch because that's something that I normally do when I wake up. And I'm going to lift my body from bed because that's something I normally do when I wake up. And I'm going to stand up and I'm going to get out of bed because that's something I normally do when I wake up. And I'm going to go turn on the teapot, the tea kettle. And that's just something I normally do when I wake up. And I know how to walk from my bedroom into the kitchen because it's something I normally do. So all of these things that are happening, the conscious mind is not like, okay, this is the part where I sit up. I am now sitting up. No, they're action patterns. You don't narrate what's happening. Your body instinctively knows how to direct you. Okay, so in this example, someone wakes up, okay, you're laying in bed, someone wakes up, they don't have to narrate, okay, what's the first thing I normally do? Let me think back to my memories. What do I normally do when I wake up? Okay, I think I sit up. I think that's the first thing I do. Okay, I sit up, and then I think I normally stand up. Okay, so I'm going to stand up now, and then I think I normally go to the kitchen to turn on a tea kettle. Okay, how do I get from my bedroom to the kitchen? How do I maneuver that? Let me see. Let me think. What did I do yesterday? How did I get from my bedroom to the kitchen? Let me think. It's got to be in there. I'm pretty sure I did this yesterday. No! You're like, okay, standing up, I'm walking here, I'm clicking on the tea kettle. Those are all action patterns. They're unconscious memories being activated. You know how to do anything because of unconscious memory systems. Anything that you know comes from a memory. Anything that you know how to do or any piece of knowledge that you innately have comes from a memory stored in the cells of your body. Okay? So this is really, 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 really important to understand when looking at any mental health battle, including things like OCD. All right? So I want to make sure we understand implicit procedural memories before we get to the root causality of OCD, because this is really important to get. Okay? So implicit procedural memories are the most unconscious of memory systems, and they store automated responses. Okay? Survival responses and approach avoidance tendencies. Okay? If you're walking down the street and someone else is walking towards you, you might kind of gently step to the side instinctively and kind of create a little bit of space. Just as one example. Maybe that's not what you personally do, but as one example, right? Okay, so someone's walking down the street. They see someone coming directly towards them, and they're like in their lane. And you just kind of instinctively kind of step to the side and walk. In that process, the brain most likely was not like, okay, I am seeing a person. No, let's see. I am seeing a person. The person is walking towards me. I am walking. They are walking towards me. Let me calculate this. Okay, I think the most logical thing to do would be to step to the side. No, in this instance, you see the person. the brain automatically computes things. You don't have to logically think, okay, let's see, I'm seeing a person, okay, let me evaluate, okay, it looks like they're about in a straight line, it looks like they're coming directly towards me, it looks like, you know what, if we keep going in the same trajectory, then eventually we're going to bump into each other. Your brain doesn't have to go through that logical process. It happens automatically. So you're walking, someone walks towards you, and you just kind of instinctively step to the side because your unconscious brain was activating these pieces of unconscious memory data based on stimulus, saving your frontal lobes the problem of doing it. Like your back brain was like, hey, don't worry about it. I got you. You don't have to calculate nothing. I got you, bae. I got you, bae. I got you. I got you. I got you. Don't worry about calculating the details. I'll take care of it. Okay, sweetie? You just hang out there and do your frontal lobe thing, all right? You just hang out there and do your frontal lobe stuff. I'm going to be back here taking care of all the background details, okay? And you just kind of instinctively step to the side and you keep kind of moving about your day. That's one example of activation of an implicit memory system or an implicit procedural memory, okay? If let's see, that's another good one. When you open the refrigerator and you look inside, your ability to recognize things and maneuver through decision making comes from implicit procedural memory projections as data is activated unconsciously. So when you open your refrigerator, you're like, oh my God, it's like things, and I don't know what the things are, but I know in theory that I take the things out and somehow prepare the things, and then the things go inside of my body, and it helps me not feel this aching pain in my gut. But I don't know what things I am even seeing right now. What is that? No, you look inside and you're like, okay, that's a milk carton, that's a carton of eggs, that's a basket of fruit. Your brain has this automated ability to recognize things. Your automated ability to recognize things comes from activation of implicit procedural memories. Okay? When you approach a door, are you like, oh my God, it's a wall, I can't get through? No, you're like, there's a door handle or a doorknob. I lift my hand, I put my hand on the doorknob, I turn it, and then the wall magically opens and I can walk through the wall. That's actually a door. And you don't have to talk yourself through this, it happens automatically, right? When you see a door, do you have to think, oh my God, it's a wall. Can I get through it? Yes, I think there's a cutout, there's an outline, there's a little line that indicates it's a little bit of a separate thing from the wall, and there's a knob thing, and I think if I turn that, then I can actually break through and move through this wall that's actually a door. No, you walk up, you see a doorknob, you turn it. It's automatic, okay? Those are activations of implicit procedural memories, all right? Stick with me, friends. We're going to get to the root causality of OCD. I want to make sure that this implicit procedural thing makes sense, though, because it's not talked about a lot, and it's really, 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 really important. So your ability to recognize things comes from activation of implicit procedural memories. When you see a door, you're not worried that it's a wall you'll never walk through. You instinctively see the doorknob and reach for it. When you open the refrigerator, you're not like, oh my God, what is even happening? What is this stuff, and how do I feed myself? Most likely, there's some automated sense of recognition. You know that certain cartons carry liquids and certain containers carry solids. You have this instinctive understanding about what things are. And then when you move through your decision making, you have this backdrop understanding of things. And so when you go to prepare breakfast, it's most likely a meal that you have prepared before. Most likely, maybe not always. But 80% of decision making comes from activation of these implicit procedural memories. So when you move through your day and you decide what to eat, for example, your choice has very little to do with you in that moment. 80% of the way that you make your decisions in everyday life unconsciously, automatically stems from activation of implicit procedural memories. At best, at most, at the highest capacity of your brain's functionality, you are only in control of 20% of your decision making in any given moment. This is really, really important to understand, okay? All right, so we know about implicit procedural memories, okay? Moving down the rung from most conscious to least conscious in subconscious realms, according to my diagrams of consciousness, the liberated consciousness diagram and the pyramid of personhood. The next thing we've got here are attachment systems. And attachment systems only hold energetic vibrations of love. They don't hold any particulars of experience. They only hold these abstract vibrational frequencies of love, and it kind of helps bridge everything. They're the baseline of subconscious realms, so how our memories get stored and how meaning-making associations develop depends on the well-being of attachment system data. Attachment systems also bridge our unconscious mind and our unconscious body. So the way that our brain and our body connect, the way that our mind and our body connect, the way that our personal particulars connect with the abstract blueprint of our neurobiological structure, the way that nervous system regulation connects with memory systems, etc., depends on the well-being of attachment systems. Attachment systems, there are 4 systems and they each house their own particular needs. And they are met through energetic vibrations of love. So within experience, every moment holds a vibration of love in association with the fulfillment of attachment needs. When there is a felt sense of feeling loved and seen and treasured and celebrated and safe and secure and protected and provided for and supported and connected and feeling a sense of closeness and vulnerability and collaborative community and feeling recognized and respected and embraced and feeling like we have this opportunity in our space to be who we are and feeling a sense of directional guidance to move through our moments where we get to just be ourselves. Those moments hold energetic vibrational frequencies of love, high vibrational frequencies of love. When moments do not have those feelings, there are low vibrational frequencies of love within the moment of experience, and that becomes energy that is stored inside of attachment systems. When there is a moment of feeling unsafe, a low vibrational piece of data is stored in attachment systems. And this is where we start getting into the core causalities of OCD. Okay? So, attachment systems are the core of things. The foundations of attachment systems formulate during early childhood development. So, during the first 3 years of life, from the very first moment that you come out of the womb and you're like, screaming little infant, adorable as heck, but very, very noisy. From the moment of birth through age 3, the very first foundational layer of attachment systems develop. Ages 4 to 6 develop your next layer of attachment system data. Ages 7 or 8 to age 12-ish develops your next layer of attachment systems. And then at ages 13 to 16 develop that final foundational layer of attachments. And then every piece of data throughout the rest of life develops or becomes stored and integrated and processed dependent on those foundational layers. And low vibrational pieces of data cannot make connections with one another. So when there's a moment of feeling unsafe, low vibrational data exists and it creates a low frequency of love and attachment systems. And that's the baseline for subconscious timelines that develop. So on top of attachment systems develops memory system data. So from the moment of feeling unsafe, you've got this low vibrational frequency in attachment systems, and then on top of that is this piece of memory system data that cannot make connections with other pieces of data because it's developed on top of attachment data that can't make connections with other pieces of attachment data. And so then the moment of safety, because attachment needs weren't met, the memory system, the memory data can't be effectively processed. Because memory data develops on top of attachment system data, and it develops these subconscious timelines, which store all the information of personal life experience in our neural networks, and that's where automated particulars of our experience, including thoughts, feelings, and action patterns, or habits or behaviors, come from. All of it is coming from activation of subconscious timelines, which is just a way to describe the particulars of neural network wiring in our brain and our body. We have 100 trillion neural networks in our brain and more neural networks in our body. We have mini brains throughout our body as information is stored in the ganglia throughout our body, okay? All right. Stick with me, friends. Stick with me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time to learn about this. Thank you for taking time to connect with me today. Thank you for taking time to explore this very, very important topic. I'm really, 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 really grateful you're here. I'm really, really grateful you're here. So thanks for hanging out with me and exploring this super mega magic that I've discovered. Okay. So when there's a moment of unsafety, it produces a low vibrational frequency of love stored in attachment systems. The memory of that moment is stored on top of that within this diagram of consciousness, and the memory itself doesn't have connection with other things. Okay? So, OCD, the actual neurobiological core causality of OCD involves the activation of unconscious implicit memories that have not effectively connected with other pieces of data that are stemming from unfulfilled attachment needs. OCD, the core causality, is activation of unconscious memory system data that has not effectively created connections with other pieces of data or integrated because of an underlying unfulfilled attachment need. That is where OCD actually comes from. Healing OCD then involves meeting the underlying attachment need in a very, very particular way that allows the memory stored in the implicit programs, the unconscious programs beyond all awareness, to transmute and integrate. Okay, so you've kind of got these floating pieces of data in subconscious realms. And then you've got all this data that has connection with each other. And when you're moving through life and your OCD is feeling tame and it's not a problem and everything's okay, it's because activation of data that has connection with each other is what's engaging. But then something happens, there's some kind of stimulus inside of you or outside of you, and stimulus comes in and activates this little island, this little floating pieces of data. And when those become activated, that's where obsessions and compulsions come from. It's activation of these little islands of data that haven't been able to connect with everything else. Healing OCD means meeting the underlying attachment need so that the associated memory data can integrate and connect with other pieces of data. When this root causality of OCD is effectively addressed, 100% of battles can be changed, healed, transformed, completely resolved. Not just a reduction in flares, not just temporary relief, not just a reduction in flares, not just temporary relief, not just a break from it. I'm talking the OCD doesn't exist anymore because the root causality was discovered, addressed, and transformed. OCD exists, obsessions and compulsions exist because implicit memories are trying to keep the self safe or secure, or help the self feel embraced or respected, or one of the attachment system needs. There might be one need, or there might be a couple different needs. Safety is the most common one that I've seen come up with OCD, but there are other attachment needs that could be the underlying root of a case of OCD. It could be any of the attachment system needs. It could be one need. It could be a couple needs. There could be a couple different networks. Like there could be OCD overarching, but maybe there's a couple different islands, an attachment need with a piece of memory and an attachment need with a piece of memory. And both of those need to be healed to get to the core of it. But underlying every single obsession, compulsion, every single experience of OCD of any kind, I know there's many different kinds, any type of OCD, any type of obsession, compulsion patterns of thoughts, feelings, and action patterns, any and all of them stem from the activation of implicit memories that are trying to resolve unfulfilled attachment needs. It's the activation of implicit memories trying to resolve unfulfilled attachment needs. That's where OCD actually comes from, neurobiologically. And so, when we address the underlying attachment need in a very, very specific way that helps to transmute the associated memory data that's existing beyond all awareness, 100% of OCD can heal and fully resolve. The only reason OCD seems so impossible to heal from is because the core causalities are not effectively being addressed. Once the underlying root is addressed, healing can happen deeply, radically, and sometimes really quickly. It might take a while. Healing is always gradual and never linear. But something that might have been a 5 or 10 year healing journey could be reduced to a few months. Something that would have been or has been or could be, would be otherwise, a 5 or 10 year healing journey can easily and readily be reduced to a few months or maybe 1 year when the root causalities are effectively addressed. There is no need to be in therapy for decades. When you understand the core causality, you rewire the neural networks generating the battle, and the battles just stop. They're over. They're done. They don't exist anymore because the neural networks creating them have been transmuted. But you have to find the right neural networks, and you have to find the right way to transmute them. That's how to heal mental health battles. You have to find the right neural networks to transmute. Because if you got all these networks, and this is where the core of battles lies, and you're over here, and you're rewiring, and you're rewiring, and you're rewiring, and you're rewiring, you're not getting to it. So you have to know what neural network to rewire. And then you have to know how to rewire it. Because if you rewire it a certain way, it's just going to get bigger. For example, if you talk about a trauma, the neural networks housing it get bigger and the traumatic stress gets stronger and louder and more dominant. So you have to know how to recognize the neural network, how to find it, how to locate it, how to identify it, how to pinpoint it. And then you have to find out how to transmute it, what to actually do so that the way that you're changing it changes it so it heals instead of changes it so the problem gets bigger. Once you know how to identify the root cause, the neural network, and you understand how to energetically transmute it so that the data heals and resolves and comes together in a completed way instead of the neural network just getting bigger and then the problem getting bigger. When you do those two things, OCD heals radically, revolutionary, and rapidly and readily. There's no need to be in therapy for decades when you uncover the underlying neural network and effectively transmute that specific data. 100% of associated battles heals. But the battles aren't coming from up here. The obsessions and the compulsions are not what the battle is actually about. The battle is all about the activation of implicit memories attempting to resolve unfulfilled attachment needs. And it could be a moment from 20 years ago. But once you find that core neural network and you learn how to energetically transmute it, all of this stuff resolves itself. But you gotta get down here to do that. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me for this Conversations with Kristin. It has been an absolute blessed privilege and a sacred honor to share this transcendent healing wisdom with you. I encourage you to share this. I know a lot of this stuff isn't quite talked about in this particular way, and I really appreciate the chance to get my message out there and help just spread hope like wildfire across the world. Healing hope is prevalent and powerful, and it's time that we share it with everybody. It's time that healing hope ignites all over the globe. Healing hope ignites all over the globe. Healing hope ignites all over the globe. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time to learn about this. Please feel free to share it. And if you learned something new, or if you enjoyed hanging out, or you just want to spread some positivity in the world, I encourage you to hit the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate your support on my channel. And if you'd ever like to get together one-on-one and connect through a consciousness consulting call, I would be absolutely honored to serve as a healing journey guide for you so that you have all of the power needed to completely transform your life from the inside out by rewiring neural networks so that your life becomes filled with the greatest love you can ever imagine. Because when everything is healed inside of us, every moment looks and feels like love. Our thoughts feel like love, our feelings feel like love, the way we move through our moments feel like love. Everything feels like love because our attachments are completely healed, vibrating at a high frequency of love, and then all of the memory system data and meaning-making association vibrate at high frequencies in a way that serves us. Instead of being this battle, it's something that serves us because everything is transmuted. Okay? So if you'd like to get together one-on-one, I would truly, truly be so honored to serve as a healing journey guide for you. You can explore more about who I am, what I do, or go ahead and book a session with me at kristinwindsor.com. And that link is also here in the video description below. Thank you so much for being here, soul friends. It has truly been the most blessed honor in the whole entire universe to share this experience with you. I am so grateful for your presence. I'm so grateful for who you are. I'm grateful for every neural network in your brain, and I'm grateful for every little piece of data in your body, and I'm grateful for every part of your miraculous consciousness who is here in the experience. Thank you for sharing space with me on planet Earth, and thank you for taking time to connect with this video. I am sending you so much love and so much light, my darling, beloved soul friends. Namaste. The courageous love in me sees and honors the courageous love in you. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Check out that sunrise. Woo, baby.